Look, if this is your first time and 50,000 words is your goal, and if you're staring down the 30th of November and you have 48,000 words, and that's the first 48,000 words that you've ever written, you won.
Yeah. Hello, writers and crafters. I'm Valerie Isan.
And I'm Erick Mertz.
And this is episode 136 of the podcast. It is November 1st, 2023.
What
we
could that
record
mean?
this. Happy NaNoWrimo Day.
What could that mean?
Today we're going to be talking about nano prep. If you haven't already prepped for NaNoWrimo and you're doing it, today is the day you start. So we're going to talk about all things NaNoWrimo today. I want to thank new patron Leah Joy Espinoza, and also
Thanks, Leah.
Thanks, Leah. And thank you to our existing patrons for believing in our work offline and here on the podcast. And you can go to patreon.com/Valerie Isan, because I'm just going to jump in really quick to one of my announcements. The new patronage tiers are live today for patreon.com/Valerie Isan. And I'm super excited about the new tiers. I've added some really special things to the benefits. And if you sign up for a Patreon tier this month, today up to November 30th, then you get a limited edition large vinyl sticker with the quote, "Books and doors are the same thing. You open them and you go through into another world," by Jeanette Winterson. She said that.
You have stickers. That's rad.
I made stickers. They're on their way right now. They're being shipped to me. They're really cool. I did it in Canva. It's really rad looking sticker. So I can't wait to put one on my laptop.
Well, now I can't do stickers because you've done stickers, and I would just be copying you.
Stickers are the coolest. You have to do stickers. I remember when I was in third grade or whatever, that was the thing. Everyone had a sticker book.
Oh my gosh, I live with a third.
Recess, you would trade stickers, and you remember the scratch and sniff stickers and the puffy stickers, and you tried to get stickers are the real deal.
I live with a third grader. I know stickers are the thing.
Stickers are the thing.
It's ridiculous.
All right, let's get back to the intro here. Let's see. So this podcast is sponsored by our patrons at patreon.com/Valerie Isan. Become a patron of the arts and see those new cool tiers at patreon.com/Valerie Isan. You can go to patreon.com/Strange Air Stories for short stories in the paranormal mystery genre. And
no stickers.
No stickers yet.
Right. There's no stickers yet.
But there's cool benefits there. So go check those out. Another announcement, early bird registration is now on for the 2024 Writercraft Writing Retreat. At this point, there is only 5 private tickets left, and 3 shared ones. So we will likely sell out again. So if you want to get in there, it is the early bird registration for this month, and then it will revert to the regular price. And you can go to that valerieisan.com/retreat to check that out. The new anthology is coming out for Tsunami Press's first volume is coming out next week. So that's super exciting. Yeah, it's out. It's coming in the store. It'll be in the store by the 9th next week. So
got it.
You can still pre-order at tsunamibooks.org. So yeah, that's exciting. I've never been in an anthology before, so I'm super happy about that. And Season of the Shadows,
November 30th.
So pre-order for the Season of the Shadow. And I just finished reading it last night. It was really fantastic. So definitely pick up a copy of Season of the Shadow. And I think that's it for announcements. I'm just getting ready for the other conference I've got. This month is pretty packed. So I'm leaving Friday for Write in the Harbor conference. And, launching the Patreon tiers and getting the retreat tickets out. That was kind of what I focused on, and client work, this last week or so. I'm also going to do a class for wordcrafters.org on November 16th. I need one more person to sign up for that for it to go through. It is an in-person and online, so it can be anywhere.
Interesting.
Or you can be anywhere to take it. It's a class on memoir. So I guess that's it for my updates. What about you?
It's like free write fall over here. And like maybe that'll be my sticker, is free write fall.
Yay. You should have that be an event every free write fall's happening. What are you writing?
It's funny you say event, and we're going to talk about Nanowrimo, but like I've just gotten really kind of excited for these sort of writer things, these writer events. And yeah, it's just, I'm getting really excited about them. I guess I'm hitting that phase. I was so against doing these kind of things for a really long time.
These kind of things meaning what?
Like just joining groups and joining, NaNoWriMo's this big global thing at this point. I was very invested in being, the individual writer. Yeah, that whole idea.
The lone writer.
So I've gotten I've spent the last couple of weeks getting kind of ready for NaNoWrimo, getting a project ready. I got ready for it by doing something in October, very similar. Like I set out to write something in October and I did. And so it only gives me fuel for November. So yeah, it's fun it's just been a fun time to write outside the series and to be just trying something new, doing different voices, writing in the first person. Which
I really like the time when you turn your manuscript over to the editor, because then you've got like a month where you're not working on your book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing all of the other launch stuff, which also is time consuming and, fraught with terror. But beyond
why
that,
won't they pre-order? Why won't they pre-order?
Oh no, I'm not going to get my copies in time. Well, yeah. So there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is like this sense of, whew, what am I going to do? Like the creative juices are like, ooh, what are we going to do this month? This is exciting.
It's like when you work a day job and you're off an hour early and you go home, there's no traffic. You've got an extra hour. You can stop at the bar. You can do a little grocery shopping. You can just go for a walk. You can kind of do whatever you want for that hour because you're not expected till 5:30 and you're off at 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Were you in high school? Did you have zero period in your high school?
No.
So my high school had a thing called zero period, and there were 2 or 3 classes that were required classes to graduate. So if you wanted to, and you got the okay from, an advisor or an instructor, you could take a zero period. So I went to school an hour before everyone else, and I got off an hour before everyone else. So that was pretty rad. So I know of which you speak.
Yeah. So this has been my zero period and I love it. It'll eventually end, but not until Nano's over. So
Nano. Okay. What are you reading?
Here's the thing. I was last night I was thinking about this. There's no stack anymore. It's all just chaos.
A smear of books.
There's just
all over the floor.
Fact, Jack. There's all the books are on the floor.
Mine are still in boxes. See?
I'm there's no order anymore. I'm just books are coming in. Books are being picked up at the library. I'm reading a book called Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. It is I think it came out in 2022. It's sort of a horror mystery story. It's not my favorite trope in the genre. It's kind of about a child. I think once a child gets into my horror stories, I'm kind of I get suspicious.
Dad. Yeah.
But even before I was a dad, it's always like child endangerment or child possession just feels like a trick to me, rather than like
Like it's become cliche. I mean, you said
It
it's a
has become
trope, but
it's a huge trope. It's enormous, right? Go look at like the top 10 horror movies of the year. It's a lot of it is that, or top 10 horror books. It's a lot of that. But it's just so, but this one deals with a kid. And I think the author did a really interesting thing to sort of play with the trope in that the narrator is a young woman who's recovering from addiction. And so she's a little fragile too. And she's also kind of a fish out of water. So she's like the kid's nanny. So it was in that first act of the book before the real inciting incident starts that you can say like, okay, like this isn't really about the kids. It's more about it's about her trying to adjust to it, like sobriety and this new world. So, and it's got pictures.
got pictures.
It's got pictures in it because it's called Hidden Pictures, and it's the kid has an artistic talent, so you see the pictures that he draws. So that's part of what drew me to it. I'm like, how are we incorporating these pictures? And I want to know. So what about you?
Cool.
What's on your stack? If
I finished Indelible by Laurie Buchanan, and now I started reading Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So yeah, I just started it. I'm only in, I don't know, the second chapter or something. So she's not on the liner yet. She's on the way to the boat. She's in the port.
Got it.
That's where I'm at right now. So just at the beginning.
That was something my mom recommended to me. So
yeah.
I usually get
I've read any Ruth Ware before. I don't think I have.
You didn't read In a Dark, Dark Wood?
No.
That one's pretty good. It's interesting, but that's the only other one I've written. I've read. The only other one I've written. There's a writer. There's a writer slip for you.
All right. Well, let's talk about NaNoWriMo.
All right. Do we want to define what that is for people who are not familiar?
I mean, it seems kind of impossible that you wouldn't know about it yet, but that sounds elitist too. So
Here's a funny little aside before we start. I had an SEO person once who was looking over the terms that my site ranked for, and he kind of started laughing and he says, yeah, there's something wrong with your site. You're ranking for something called NaNoWriMo. That can't be real. And I said, oh, it is real. And I explained to him what it was. And he had this look of like, kind of utter horror, like he'd kind of stepped on my birthday cake or something. So I had to tell him National Novel Writing Month.
Yeah, I discovered it, 15 years ago or something, or more. I can't remember when I did my first nano book, but it ended up being the first book that I ever wrote. So I love NaNoWriMo because it really helped me accomplish something that I had always wanted, to do, and didn't think that I could. And I had small children at home, and I constantly told myself I didn't have time to write. That was the story I was telling myself. So NaNoWriMo allowed me to bash that, limiting self-belief in the nose. So now I knew without a doubt there was enough time to write every day, even with little children around you. And it also is a great exercise in turning off your internal editor.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's all about quantity, not quality at this stage.
Those two things don't have to be exclusive of each other.
They don't. But my perfectionism allowed, that inner editor prevented me from putting words on the page because I wanted them to be amazing, I hadn't internalized the shitty first draft, which yes, again, that's not required, but it allows me to put words on the page. So I am all there for the crappy first draft.
Right.
But I first heard about it. Every time I'd done NaNoWriMo after that, I never had that same like drive and passion and, joined all the groups and stuff like that. So I didn't actually finish I didn't win any other than that very first one I did. And I never started another nano project for years and years and years, because I never was in the right place. Like I didn't want to stop drafting a book to start drafting a new book. Like that would be weird to me. I know I like to finish my projects before I start another one. And it was just never the right time. But it just so happens that I have a new project lining up at this right time. So I
It's
am
the
going to
perfect
nano
timing.
the first time in years and years and years. So I'm a little nervous.
I've never done this. And my first time I heard about it was years and years ago. My wife's friend, Nicole, just shot me a Facebook message from out of nowhere and said, "Are you doing NaNoWriMo?" And I had no idea what it was. It's funny because it's like so, like it's so known by its the NaNoWriMo. Like I think it's like that term has become like, it's just kind of overwhelmed the idea. Like it's just it's you see what I'm saying? It's like the term has become bigger than itself. Like people just say it without, people assume you know what it means. I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
is what I
Yeah.
mean.
It's an
Yeah.
industry standard word now almost.
Industry standard word. That's what I was fumbling for.
Mhm.
And so when she threw it out there, I was like, I felt like an
What's
idiot.
that?
Like,
Oh.
what's going on? What does she know? I don't know. Like, I don't belong here anymore. Um,
Oh.
and I've never done it because I felt like I didn't need it. Because I do write
Mm-hmm.
and I write,
Prolifically. Yeah.
yeah, I do. So, but what I found, my sort of joy with getting ready for it and wanting to participate in it is that, as we've discussed, like you can rally people around it and people get excited about it. And it's at this juncture, it's really fun to be a part of things that people are excited about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really like that too. My schedule is tight enough that I personally am not going to prioritize meeting in public to do the write-ins, but I will find any, opportunity to do online write-ins with people.
Right.
And I think you said you started a group and
And you're in it.
am I okay, cool. Cause I like
You
friended you, but I didn't know if I was like in the group or not.
you are in the group. I'm not, my whole desire to join the group, to create a group, was like, again, like let's get people rallied around
Mm-hmm.
something. Maybe new connections can come from it. Like I kind of feel like I love my writers group. I love the connections that we have, but like let's keep adding to
Yeah, why not? You
that
can always have
whole
more friends.
yeah. Yeah.
And
And
the cool thing about NaNoWrimo is yes, it's global and you can, meet up with people virtually all over the world. And it's also separated into regional groups as well. So you sign
right.
up for nanowrimo.org and then you also sign up for your regional group. And
Right.
so I've signed up for my regional group and that, email or notifications come in and if you want to do things in your community around the NaNoWrimo event, then you can join up, physically in your area, which will help, community building and stuff too, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. I think it's just the best of writers. It's the best it represents the best of writers activities because it is as much or as little as you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
You can really make it as big or as small in your world as you want. And there's of the people that have joined the group, everyone's sort of offloaded a little bit of their anxiety or their optimism or what have you around the just doing this part of it, doing this thing. And it's been interesting to just be there for people to have that little conversation about hey, there's going to be no pressure. I just, I want to kind of rally some people. I'd like to have a conversation about writing if you want it. I just feel like there's so much pressure we put on ourselves as creative people that it feels really good that this thing can be, again, you can be whatever you want it to be, as little or as much. I mean, I'm looking at kind of what the nano group that I have they're doing, and some people are writing 70,000 words, some people are writing 30. The whole idea of writing 50,000 words is how it started, but it's fastly evolved into something more user friendly, which I love.
And there's a whole I don't know where this is on the website. I haven't like looked through the Nanowrimo website recently, but there is something called like Revolrimo or something like that, where you can sort of just make your own plan or you know, like there's quote unquote rules for NaNoWriMo, but they unabashedly decide not to follow them and do their own kind of version of NaNoWriMo. So there's those folks too.
Right. Right.
And that might fit in better with your writing style or whatever, or like the timeline. And then there's also one in April now, and they call it Camp Rimo. And
I didn't
that
know
one you
that.
set your own goal. And it can be anything, you know, like, oh, this April I'm gonna, you know, revise my book, or I'm gonna, yeah, write my email automation series, or what. You can set whatever goal you want and still have that kind of rally and excitement around a kind of, not a group project, but and it's not collaborative, but you know, that community vibe. I don't know what else to call it.
Well, yeah, it's that whole parallel play idea that if you're,
Mhm.
it's playing alone is one thing, but
Mhm.
playing, you know, kind of with a group is another. It's like, you know, it's the whole like stitch and bitch phenomenon, right? Like
Yeah.
people meet up in a cafe and everybody's knitting or
Knitting.
whatever, and they're
Mhm.
talking, and those people could all knit at home. They don't have to go out there and do it, but it's fun to do it in parallel to other people. So
Yeah.
what is your, do we talk, are we going to talk about that? Like, what's the project?
Um,
I said that in a low voice, like I don't want to put any pressure on you.
Normally I don't ever talk about books before, you know, they're in a
All right,
nice
don't kiss and
right
tell.
stage, but
You don't have to kiss and tell.
but I will say, because I have brought it up here before, it is a historical novel, so I am giving myself some grace in when I'm drafting, because I didn't get to the research in October, which is where I wanted, you know, to research
Right.
the timeline a little bit, the era. But so I'm just gonna write it with my the what is the general, the osmosis of, you know, my thought of
Right.
what the timeline would be like.
Right.
And then after I'm done, I can go in and do the research for the specific areas where, you know, to make sure that I've got it right. So for revision, I'll do my research then. And I do that normally anyway. If I have to um research something, like for the scent of apple tea, there was a lot of not a lot, but there were scenes like in the emergency room, and there was a patient, a person dealing with cancer. So I had to research that, you know, like I emailed a friend of mine that was an emergency room nurse and asked a bunch of questions and did the specific research for the specific scenes that needed it in the
Right.
revision process. So that's kind of my process anyway. So I guess, yeah, I'm nervous about writing a historical novel. I have not yet done so with the intent to publish. So, and now all of my words, you know, I always intend to publish. So we'll see if I can pull off a historical novel.
Well, and you know, in a similar expression of anxiety. I mean, I'm writing the story that I'm going to write takes place in and around an airport, a small town airport, and I know nothing about what the lives of people that work in airports are
Mm-hmm.
like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is, this is really funny. I didn't do any research. You know, how would I do that? Like, I think that gets you in trouble with the NSA if you start asking too many questions about the lives of people at airports. But I was thinking, like, maybe I'll just make it a period piece, like slightly into the past, so that
Mm-hmm.
it's nothing like our current
Pre
airport climate.
9/11. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, this is 19, what's the most like inconspicuous airport year? Like 1988. This is 1988. People still dressed up to travel. There was meals on the plane. I mean, who knows? Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that, but I think everybody that started this morning already, and everybody that's gearing up to start now, there's always anxiety when you start anything new, because you just never know if that idea that you love in theory is going to work out for 50,000 words or 30 or whatever you're doing. It's just not, it's not a guarantee. So
one thing, I don't know where to put this in the conversation, so I'll just say it now that I was thinking, before I.
when in doubt, blurt it out. Just that's
Nice, right? I like that.
Yeah.
Another t-shirt idea. When in doubt, blurt it out. Plotting. So if you're prepping, and you're like, okay, I know that I need, so the website recommends 1,667 word count per day.
That's your average. You have to hit that if you're going to make the number.
Yes. The 50,000 word. Yeah. So that's kind of in the back of my head, my word count goal for the day. But, I don't write every day. So some days are going to have to be substantially more than that.
Right.
So I sometimes can flee, or not flee, but write it with abandon and just type whatever's coming out and try to go as fast as possible, and just whatever's coming to my head I'm putting on the page. It almost doesn't even have to make sense really at the stage. You're just trying to get words on the page fast. And yet I still like to have some sort of bare bones, outline to know where I'm heading, so I don't end up at the end of, I got 50,000 words, but nothing's really happened yet. This is all entry, all intro. I don't want that to happen. So I still want to have I've written the story hypothesis. So I know the character's flaw. I know, what her needs are. I know how it's going to end. The 3 C's, that's the conflict, choice, and consequence. Those are roughly, I haven't nailed those down as well as I want, but I've got kind of a bare bones idea of a plot, or an outline, I guess. Have you plotted yours out at all, or?
So it's not very thick, but this is the outline. It's about 23 pages. I did.
Wow. Handwritten?
Handwritten 23-page outline. So here's the genesis of the story. Happened in August on a trip to Mexico. I was in the plane. There's just a woman in the Portland airport who caught my eye, who worked at the airport. And now this is how my brain works. Like, automatically started thinking about, what's the life of an airport person like? I have anxiety when I go to an airplane, get near an airplane, because it's not familiar to me. And I started asking myself questions about the character. And by the time I was over New Mexico in the plane, I had this idea about a woman who worked at a small airport. And then it kept going and going. And so what I do is, it's sort of like, once I sort of open the trap, like the story trap, stuff falls into it, and throughout the last 6-8 weeks, I would see things like, oh, that would be cool if she did this, and that would be cool if she did that, or this. So I started adding things to this, one of my little story idea notebooks. And when it came time to write the outline, it was just taking all of that stuff and putting it into order. So yeah, it's pretty well lined out. But this is also difficult too, because I have the same word count obligation. And so I'm really right now super attached to the ending, and because that was the last thing to come together. So do I write the ending first? Do I start at the beginning? So I don't know. There's a little bit of that, how am I going to go about executing the plot?
Well, that's why I really like writing in Scrivener, because you can have, your scenes kind of briefly outlined a little bit. You've got a scene card set up. So yeah, you can totally write out of order, and it's really easy. You can just click on the scene card, for the conclusion, and type up that one, and you can jump around really easily.
Yeah.
It's all organized.
I avoid climactic action. That tends to be the last thing I write. I'll write like all of the, character building, inciting incident, all the act 2 stuff. And then I'll write the sort of denouement of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have this like, all right, so now the final fight, I have to write the final fight. How do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
I did that in the last thing. I did that in Season of the Shadow. So, but yeah, I'll have it all. And it's usually, that's the weakest part of my outline, where I think it just says in here, like,
The ending.
final fight in
Oh,
the orchard.
okay.
Like, I don't know how it's
Yeah.
going to work out. It
Uh-huh.
always feels like choreography, when you're those, if there is like a climactic conflict, it always feels like you're writing like a dance thing,
Yeah.
like how does this work together? So I don't know, we'll see. I'll probably get there in sometime in between now and the 1st of December.
Yeah, I think that because I underwrite, that's my process. I usually do. My goal is a 50,000 word book because that's the minimum and still be able to win. But I know that that's about what I write anyway, the first draft, and then I go through and add a whole bunch of stuff later. I layer
Right.
stuff in as my writing process. So yes, I will be in the months to come be continuing to write and revising and tweaking, and of course. So I haven't written fiction for a long time, so I'm nervous and excited, and I don't know if I'll get my words in today.
You'll get them in. We should get off this right now because you have
Okay.
words to get. I have words to get to. Just kidding. But that's that's really what I want to get away from. Like, I don't know. I wrote a blog about it last month. I think that blog comes out on Tuesday. But look, if this is your first time and 50,000 words is your goal, and if you're staring down the 30th of November and you have 48,000 words, and that's the first 48,000 words that you've ever written, you won.
Yeah. Yeah.
You won. You got to give yourself a victory. If this is something
Mm-hmm.
you've never done, and yeah, maybe you didn't get 50,000 words, but 48, 49, 46.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even and conversely, like even if you pass that 50,000 word mark and the book isn't actually done, that's okay. You still won.
Totally fine. Right. Yeah.
All
I think
right.
winning, I like that you use the term winning, but
Yeah.
winning can be loosely defined in this thing,
Uh-huh.
because writing is hard. This is why we keep talking about it. If it was easy, there would be no mystery. There'd be no Nano if writing was easy. So
That's how
I
it
don't know.
started too. I read the book on the founding
Oh,
members of Nanowrimo. It was just a dude that was like, it was a small group of friends. I think there was 5 of them. And they were like, all right, we've been talking about this for years. Let's just do it. And they picked a month. It was the shortest month. And they decided to
but
make
why
it a
did they pick
thing.
one with Thanksgiving?
They talk about that in the book. I think it's because it's the shortest, it's like one of the shortest months, and it's not during summer. It's not during, I mean, yes, it's got Thanksgiving, but it's not as big of a holiday as some of the other months that have holidays. Like Christmas is pretty big. People,
Yeah, I get that. People take
go
time
away
off.
for, yeah. And it's also kind of, it's at the end of the month. So the hope, I guess, is that you will have had enough momentum.
Right.
And also
Oh,
a
yeah.
large part of Halloween or Thanksgiving holidays is, sitting around with food coma and watching TV. Like that's part of the holiday, right?
Well, and I think the need
So
for
you can,
escape is part of that holiday too.
yeah,
People are
yeah.
always
So you can
looking
kind
for.
of, yeah, like dip out and, oh, I'm just going to go write for a couple hours. I got this book and this deadline. Sorry. And so you can sneak away and write your words, and no one's
It
going to
does
even
make
miss you, right?
when you put it that way, it makes sense, because summer, yeah, people travel for periods of time. Kids are out of school.
Mm-hmm.
The winter can be a real depressing time. So yeah, I get it. There's no perfect month, I guess, is where we're coming. There's no month that would be like, other than August. I think August is the only month that has like no, like, what's August got? Nothing. It's just heat.
Well, some people are starting school.
And the Writer's Craft Retreat. Sorry, the Writer's Craft Retreat.
Yeah, come
Yep,
on
sorry.
now. But yeah, there's a lot of places in the US where school's starting already. Last week of
That's true.
August, they're already in school. So August is like last minute, do your things in summer and get ready for school. Like August
Wow,
is usually
yeah.
pretty busy.
Gosh, thank God they did this in November. I started out not knowing why, and now I'm just saying, thank God they did this in November, because it wouldn't have worked any other time.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of which, let's get to our words.
All right.
Happy
1667 or
nanoing.
bust. 1667 or I'm going to be really jagged because
Me too.
I mapped it out and I realized like I do most of my writing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So it's going to be, some flats and then some spikes. And so, but I'm going to be interested because everybody in the writers group, in the nano group, like you see their progress. So it'll be interesting who's going on this line, who's going here. I guess nobody goes down. I guess you could go down if you're editing while you're writing. You could go. Oh God, I hope nobody does that.
No, don't edit.
Don't edit. There's your free advice.
Don't edit. All right. Happy writing, happy nanoing, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.